The new GTA 6 trailer has just been released and there's a ton of details you may have missed. Earlier today, the GTA 6 trailer came out, and ever since I've been going over it frame by frame to find every detail that I possibly can to satisfy my need for this game. Right off the bat, we now know the last names of the main characters. Lucia's last name is Caminos, and Jason's last name is Duval. This gives us a little bit of background into where these characters come from and where their families might come from. More on that later. Now, the trailer itself had a story description for what the game is actually about. Let me read it to you. Set in Vice City, Jason and Lucia have always known the deck is stacked against them. But when an easy score goes wrong, they find themselves on the darkest side of the sunniest place in America, in the middle of a conspiracy stretching across the state of Leonida, forced to rely on each other more than ever before if they want to make it out alive. Now, as we all know, Leonida is Rockstar's take on the state of Florida. And this description makes it seem like the map isn't just one city like Vice City, but the entire state. Back to the main characters, it seems like Jason was actually in the army, as seen by his tattoos and from Rockstar's official description. Now, he grew up around crooks and criminals, but he himself didn't want that kind of lifestyle, and is instead forced into it by necessity. Lucia, on the other hand, has been this way the whole time. Apparently, she grew up in Liberty City, yes, from GTA 4, before moving to Leonida with her mom. She's been fighting since she could walk and ends up in prison for it. Now, there's a load of other characters in the game like Raul Batista, who's described as a seasoned bank robber, and Booby Ike, who's a local Vice City legend, a gangbanger turned businessman. Sound familiar? Now, Rockstar actually gives us a bunch of new location names. Obviously, Vice City is in the game, but they actually say that each neighborhood is different and give us names for them, like Ocean Beach, which is going to be Miami Beach, Little Cuba, and Tishawaka, which is a pretty silly sounding name. Of course, there's going to be more than that, but outside Vice City, we get the names of the Leonida Keys, obviously inspired by the Florida Keys, Grass Rivers, which seems to be the Everglades, as it's described as a swampy area of alligators and snakes. Port Gellhorn, which I can't seem to find an exact inspiration for, is described as a place with cheap motels, shut down attractions, and empty strip malls. The next location is Ambrosia, which is described as the home of the Allied Crystal Sugar Refinery, and a local biker gang called the Final Chapter, who we'll most likely interact with in the story. The last location they give us is Mount Caliga, which is the northernmost landmark in Leonida. It's described as a sort of hillbilly haven with hunting, fishing, and off-road trails. There also seems to be a national park there. I just want to say, not only does this game seem massive, it looks incredible. What Rockstar's been able to do with the graphics is absolutely insane. I mean, look at the details here. This game has some of the best graphics I've ever seen, and I can't imagine how good it's going to look when it finally comes to PC in the future. Now, this moment here actually looks like it might be the start of the game, as the way the camera follows behind Jason almost looks like it's the start of a gameplay transition. Next, we can see Jason robbing a store, but I don't think he's doing this as part of a crime spree, as before he was asked to go get the money by somebody else, a man named Brian. Now, the road signs here give us even more locations: VCI Airport, Ambrosia that we already talked about, Downtown, and Peacock Bay. Now, in the next scene, it's really interesting because we have Jason here working out on the beach. Now, if you didn't know, all the way back in GTA San Andreas, you were actually able to work out, and you could gain weight or gain muscle. This feature was missing from GTA 4 and GTA 5, so I wonder if this is just a cutscene, or if that feature is making a return after over 20 years. Next, we see the cops arresting someone, and I don't actually think this is an element of the story. I think this is going to be an ambient NPC interaction that you can just stumble across as you're driving around. At around 50 seconds, we see the prison that Lucia is being released from. This is where we get both main characters' last names. Now Jason and Lucia are reunited, and almost immediately they seem to go and rob a bank. It makes me wonder if this was in part set up by Raul Batista, who Rockstar described as a seasoned bank robber. Next up, we see what looks like people loading drugs into a plane. But if you notice the sign on the warehouse above the plane, it actually says Brian's Boatworks and Marina. This makes me wonder if the Brian that owns the warehouse is the same Brian that was talking to Jason in the intro. That would make sense because this looks like Jason and his friend. Next up, we see the Vice City club scene, and immediately after, Lucia and Jason are running from the cops. Now, to me, these don't look like city police, but rather state police. And it would make sense that the state police would be involved when you remember the story synopsis that Rockstar gave. Now, we actually get a really quick shot of something insane, which looks to be Lucia fighting somebody else on the inside of a plane that's taking off, and they actually fall down by the wheel well, which does lead me to think that yes, this game will be as equally insane and unhinged as GTA 5 was. Now, we have this commercial for Phil's ammunition, but did you notice the PlayStation 5 in the corner? That's pretty cool, but what's more interesting to me is the power tool and paint roller that are right beside it. This tells me that whatever place they're staying in is a little run down and needs renovation. Now, Lucia's wearing a high-vis vest that says LDC on it. To me, this almost looks like a dock worker outfit, which would make sense as this home that they're in is probably close to the Vice City port. So the LDC could stand for Loading Dock C, or something of that significance. Next, we see what looks to be Jason jumping from a motorcycle onto a truck so that he can steal a car. Now this car is actually a Pegassi, which is Rockstar's version of a Lamborghini. I'm really excited to see all the cars in this game because as we know from the leaks from a few years ago, they're going to be incredibly detailed and realistic. Now there are a bunch more minor details like animals running around in the background, how varied all the NPCs are, and stuff like that, but I'm mostly looking at story details. Here's what I think the story is. Jason is short on cash and is working odd jobs for shady people, biding his time until his girlfriend Lucia gets out of jail. Jason isn't a criminal at heart, but he's done shady things just to get by. Lucy, on the other hand, is ready, willing, and able to do anything she can to get ahead in life. While doing a shady job, Jason met Raul, who is a seasoned bank robber. Maybe something happens, and Jason has to pay somebody back, like in GTA 5. Or maybe they just want to get rich. We've always played criminals in GTA, but we've never played genuinely bad people. Only unfortunate people who have to do bad things to survive. So it would be interesting if in GTA 6, we actually end up playing people who just want money for the sake of money, and don't care who they hurt in order to get it. Anyway, I think Raul sets up Jason and Lucia for a bank robbery. He promises them that it'll be easy, but it goes wrong. Maybe Raul cut a deal with the feds in order to lessen a sentence. This leads Jason and Lucia to fall down a rabbit hole where they're being hunted by the state police, or maybe even federal agents like the FIB. Or maybe I'm completely wrong. Rockstar has been known to misdirect and misinform people to keep the story a secret. But that's all the details that I really noticed when it comes to the story. Obviously, there are other things that I didn't mention, like how far the draw distance is, and how amazing all the vegetation looks. Overall, the graphics are insane, and the fact that this is running on a base PS5 is nuts to me. Rockstar is cooking, and while yes, the delay is sad, I'm sure that it'll be a better game because of it. What do you guys think? Did I miss anything that you noticed? Leave it down in the comments. And while you're down there, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to click the bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. Peace.